Hello guys and welcome to the draft guide for the Learners League for Season 8. We are going to go ahead and look at kind of how the draft is going to work, how you are going to go from week to week. You're going to draft a different team every week. Basically you are versing your opponent. We basically tell you, right, let's have a little look here at the tiers. Here's your tiers. You'll pick one player from each tier. You can pick them in any order you want. I personally would start at tier 9 and work your way up. Because really, anybody from tier 1 to tier 3 is really good anyway. So you can kind of work around them as you need to. Whereas tier 7 and below, I'd say, is where players start getting a little bit questionable. So you need to kind of specifically have a place for them to be. So I kind of like to get rid of the problem first. You might decide you want to start at tier 1 and work your way down. You might decide you just want to do them in random order. Maybe there's a specific player that you want. Obviously, you can do it that way. But yeah, you can do it in any kind of way you want. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to do a mock draft here. So you get an example as to kind of how it's going to work. So let's go ahead and do that. So create a team. Let's go to mock draft season 8 Learner League. And let's go ahead and do that. So if we go to tier 9 first, I'm going to start at tier 9 and work my way up. I think I'm going to start by picking my catcher. I don't mind a slow catcher as long as the arm is decent. And honestly, I think I'm going to go for Butch. I think Machiko actually is a fairly decent hitter, but I think for catcher, 85 is kind of, for me personally, 85 is kind of the minimum of what I would want. So I think I go for Butch. Power is fine. For tier 9, you're not going to get a good battle, right? And especially at 4 speed. The only really people who are going to get, you're going to get anything out of offensively at tier 9 are either people that are completely all in, which there isn't. Is there even any in tier 9? I guess like Woz Flugel and people like that, but they're not in this draft. Olga and PJ, if you go grounder, they will get on base, but they are sacrificing in so many other areas. So you can go that route if you want to go that route, but obviously that is kind of risk versus reward, right? You're taking a big risk with these two, but they could score you runs just by getting around the bases, right? You lead off of either of those, especially Olga. It's possible, right? But on the flip side, do you want maybe your substitute pitcher to be in tier 9? If that's the case, Ryan can sub-pitch, Kenny can sub-pitch, Diana, I guess, can sub-pitch, pretty much. Even Olga, if we're really stretching it, even Olga could sub-pitch. I personally don't need a pitcher at tier 9. I'll sort that out later. So I'm going to go with Butch. So we'll start there. We'll go Butch as my tier 9. We go to tier 8. So there's my catcher sorted out. Tier 8, for me personally at this point, I think I want my third base. And honestly, you could do a lot worse with Chad. Now, I said I wasn't going to pick any, like a decent, or any, even a sub-pitcher at tier 9. Tier 8, I think, is where I want my sub-pitcher. And I think Chad Corpel, stick him at third base. Personally, I think that's where I want to go. You could put Vincent there as a third baseman. And he has really good stamina. But I kind of want my sub-pitcher now, I think. So I think I personally go Chad. But again, these are all just my personal opinions. You will build your team differently from how I will build it. I'm just kind of, I'm going for my thought process basically. So I know I've got all the bases covered. You'll kind of be doing the same as you do your rounds. So tier 7, I think I want my second baseman here. Or my first. To be honest, I think I'm going to go for my first. I want someone who can get on base and is also not terrible. To be honest, all 3 of these are good first base options. So you could go for either of these 3 and you kind of have a good thing going on. As long as you're third base, and I can't stress this enough, make sure your first baseman is at least 3 height. Ben Bath & Beyond has made a little guide here as far as kind of what you're looking for each position, but I can't stress enough that height of 3 or higher on one base, really important. Right, so if the late tiers is what you want to go for, These three are fantastic options. I think I'm going to go... Chad's 5 speed, so he's not terrible. I'm just debating if I go Chad here. I'm debating if I go Jason Gamby. I'm actually going to go Stephanie Morgan here. Which is funny, because I usually go Jason Gamby in first base. But I will go Stephanie Morgan here. Just because we've got a 5 speed followed up by... Once I find the the thing here. We have a 5 speed. Butch is a 4 speed, 5 speed, 6 speed for Stephanie Morgan. I'm going to build a team that's got a little bit of pace with it, I think, here. This is kind of the way this is setting up to be. We go to 6 tier. I think I've got speed again. For me personally, I think just because I've got Stephanie Morgan there at first who has a little bit of speed, I'm going to start building and picking up on that speed. I'm going to go Adam Van Dorwen. And I'm going to put Adam at second. And honestly, I might start building a grounder team at this point. Stephanie Morgan can grounder, and because she's a 6 speed, she can get there. Adam is a bit of a grounder specialist. Obviously, the power isn't quite there. The contact is decent, but really 7 speed, second base, he will grab a lot of those line drives. The coordination's fine, but the attention is good. I think Adam is who I go for here. But if you want a guaranteed person who wants to do that defensive job, you can go full on defensive. You can go Trent. Trent can literally play anywhere because his defensive stats are just that good. But you are sacrificing that offense, right? So that's the trade-off. If you want to go full power and you want to go high risk versus reward, Petro or Fabian, stick him at second. Just keep in mind 4 speed and 3 speed. If Petra does not get to the ball at second speed, it is going straight out into that outfield. Right, so just keep that in mind. But 93 power. That's where the ones are going to be, right? For me personally, I will go Adam here. So, up now to 5th tier. I personally want, I think my 3rd. No, I think I've already got my 3rd in Chad, don't I? So, I'm actually, I think, going to pick my main pitcher here. And I don't usually do that, but I think with these in tier 5, I think there's great value to be had here. And I think I will grab another bit of pace here. And I'm really going to make this a big grounder, high bounce team. I'm going to go Grace. I think I'm going to go Grace. There's a lot of grounder, getting around the base potential here. I'm kind of liking what's going on here. I'm going for speed here. If you want to pick your catcher here, and maybe you want to go down the power route, Isabel Welly, really solid option. Molly, perfectly solid option. Ivan, perfectly solid option for the catcher's position. Honestly, pitcher. Some people would argue not great for a starting pitcher. I disagree because I go Wendy Parsons as my pitcher, but it's an option, right? Ivan, it says here Ivan can go shortstop. Not for me, but hey, listen. The people who say here their best position, Viz made this. He knows the stats inside and out. He knows better than me. If he says Ivan can play shortstop, Ivan can play shortstop. Just not for me personally. But again, if you want to go down that grounders route, and you're not ready to pick your pitches yet, and you're ready to go speed, Alex and Whitney. And stick Alex at 3rd. Alex is a fantastic 3rd baseman. Whitney is also a very solid pitcher. Actually, to be honest with you, yeah, I've changed my mind. And that's a good thing, right? You can do that. And I'm still going to go down the pitcher's route. But I think I'm going to go for Whitney instead. Just because the arm is so much better. And 7 speed at tier 5 is still perfectly fine. You take that all day long if speed is the route you want to go down. So, I think we go Whitney. So, I think at this point I'm picking my shortstop. And I think if I want just an all-rounder who can do everything, to a decent level. Do I go Marty? I don't really need the pictures thing though. I could go Sonya, but Sonya's are too high. Do you know what? I'm actually going to go Sonya. I'm going to go Sonya. And then, Sonya's a 6-speed, so still absolutely fine. Now I've got these 3 that I can reserve these all for the outfield, which I'm absolutely happy to do. Outfield, you want a bit of speed. I'd say at least 6. 7 is much more ideal, and I will be going for speed here anyway. Outfield, I'm going Nomar. Nomar is so good defensively. I think we're going to go down that route. We'll definitely go Nomar. For tier 2, I want another outfielder. I want another person with a decent amount of speed. If we're talking just all round, just full speed, if I'm going for a full speed team and I'm completely leaning on that grounder side of things, I'm probably going to go Maynard. I'm gonna push back a little bit on the speed, and I want someone who's just really defensively solid too. Plus free height is so good for defensive options. I think I'm gonna go Lowy. Bowie here is also fantastic, but I want a little bit of pop. And I think Lowy has the potential to really get some really good outfield hits out there. And then for first round, obviously I'm going full speed. I go Pete. However, now I think I want at least some kind of big hitting potential. So I think it says here, Sammy, his best position is shortstop and third base. I don't necessarily disagree with that. But Sammy is good enough that he can play anywhere. And for me personally, I think it's very hard not to pick Sammy here, because I want a consistent hitter. There is, honestly, Chico. I love picking Chico too, because Chico's fantastic. 95 eye. The eye stat basically means the bigger the eye stat, the smaller the circle is when the ball goes into the outfield. So it does make it easier to catch. Unfortunately, Chico doesn't have very good coordination, which is obviously another really big catching stat. But 95 power and 95 contact, if you want guaranteed to really get out there, if you want someone who's guaranteed to score you at least some ones, I mean, Chico is about as good as it gets. If you want a fantastic batter, but you also want your pitcher, Leo or Jay, absolutely fantastic. These 4 are the best in the game. Henri and Julie, 100 power and 9 speed. These are too good, so they're just banned. I'm going to go Sammy. But if I really wanted to lean in and go all out, I could have went Pete, or I could have went Chico. I personally am going to go Sammy here. So this is what my team would look like. The good thing about this draft is you can swap them out however you want. So say I play this first game and I decide, do you know what? I need a little bit more hitting potential. I can easily swap out Sonya for what? Round 4. She's my shortstop. But I can go for someone who has a bit more whack. Can get a bit more out there. And honestly, I wouldn't be mad at Samuel Middleton at shortstop. 5 speed, sure, but definitely can. Or I can go Mandy Coolidge as a pitcher. Some big power there for a pitcher. Plus, if I do that, I can put Mandy at pitcher. Whitney is now available at round 5. And I can put my shortstop at round 5. So I could go down that route. And I could go for, like, Ezra. Best position, Ivan. Best position, catcher. But you can put Ivan there at shortstop. You could put Ezra at shortstop. It's fine. You know, I don't think that's particularly a bad thing. So you can just kind of experiment, right? And that's just how it works. So this gives you a chance every single week to kind of get a feel for what works best for you. And then come season 8, when the Little League starts, the difference with the Little League is you get your draft at the start of the season, but then you're stuck with that draft. You can obviously trade players, but that requires you to trade them. So if you want guaranteed, you have to get them during that draft. This is a little look at what the draft looked like. As you can see, there's your picks: Julie, Brad, Kenny, kind of working their way through the rounds. And if you look at the visuals, it's a much, much bigger roster for the Little League. So you will have a lot more choice, but of course you will also be versing a lot more coaches. And because you won't be able to trade them out round for round, once somebody drafts that player, they're gone and you can't play with them, unless you trade for them, of course. But if you want an in-depth guide into how exactly the Little League works, I will put the Little League tutorial I have in the description, and you can kind of work through that and do it that way. But there we go. I think I pretty much covered everything there. If you want kind of a little rundown and you don't want to keep going back to this of what you want for your positions, Ben Bath and Beyond has made a little guide here on what you want. Do give it a look, because everything he says here, pretty much I agree with 100%. So this is kind of a good little thing, a little footnote that you can keep going to. And there's just a couple of little notes as far as what you want offensively and defensively. If you want speed, obviously get that one power hitter like I did with Sammy. If you want to go down the power route, I would recommend getting up to, I think comfortably you can do 3. Uncomfortably you could get 4, maybe 5, but do realise in those later tiers, let me just show you here, let's go down to tier 6. Just keep in mind, once you get down to these lower tiers, these big batters have glaring weaknesses. Petra simply can't defend, neither can Fabian. If you go massive power, even here for tier 3, and you go Mark or Joan or Rachel or Brenner, just keep in mind, Mark is very slow, right? And because they have pretty low stamina, they will just get slower. If you get Rachel or Brenner, she can go outfield because her eye and her coordination is really good. But keep in mind, she is a 2 height, and if she drops that ball, she has 26 arm. So she will find it hard to get the ball back on base before people get around. So just keep in mind, there's always a trade-off. Even tier 2, if you look at Jane, very fast. Well, very fast. She's 7 speed, which is fast, especially for someone who is such an elite batter. But bad arm, bad eye. They're the risk you take, right? So I would personally say 3 big power batters if you want to go down the power route. You can go far at 4, but then you are taking that risk. And I think well said. So if you have any questions, please do message me, Ben Bath and Beyond, or message Matt, and we'll answer any questions you have. Right, we're here, we're happy to help. That's kind of what we're here for, right? It is 1 game a week. Whether we say if you can play more than 1 game a week, if we allow that, we'll see. You know, we haven't ironed it out completely yet, but I think we're all set. Right, thank you guys very much for watching, and we're all on the Learners League. All right, thanks for watching, guys.